What if the most powerful person in the world simply said no? Imagine this. The White House, dark clouds gathering overhead. A gavel strikes, its sound echoing like a crack of thunder. Outside, a sea of protesters, their faces a mix of anger and confusion. The question hangs in the air, a chilling possibility. What would happen if a United States president refused to leave office? It's Inauguration Day. The world is watching. But instead of a peaceful transfer of power, the outgoing president, let's call him President Thorne, steps before the cameras. He announces he will not concede. He claims widespread election fraud, offering no solid evidence, just words that ignite a firestorm. In the Oval Office, the air is thick with tension. Across the nation, people are glued to their screens, their faces reflecting disbelief and shock. A constitutional nightmare has just begun. So what does the law say? The 20th Amendment to the Constitution is crystal clear. A president's term ends at noon on January 20th, period. It doesn't matter if they concede, if they're happy about it, or if they lock themselves in the Oval Office. At that exact moment, their power evaporates, and the president-elect legally and automatically assumes the presidency. But what happens if the person who was president refuses to acknowledge this reality? Suddenly, we have two individuals claiming to be the commander-in-chief. The very foundation of the republic begins to tremble as the clear line of succession is broken. This is where the other branches of government are forced to act. The Supreme Court would be called upon to issue a definitive ruling, a legal sledgehammer to settle the dispute. Their verdict would be swift and unambiguous, affirming the constitutional transfer of power. In Congress, a joint session would be held, not for celebration, but for crisis management. Lawmakers from both parties would face a historic choice: stand with the Constitution or with a would-be autocrat. Perhaps the most critical response would come from the military. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff would issue a public statement, reminding the nation and the world that the armed forces swear an oath to the Constitution, not to any single individual. The message would be unmistakable. The military will not be used as a political pawn. The Secret Service would also have a key role, as their duty to protect the former president would legally require them to escort him from the premises once his term expires. But even with legal and institutional clarity, the nation itself would be torn apart. Imagine our cities split down the middle. On one side, massive protests demanding the rule of law be upheld. On the other, counter-protests, fueled by the former president's claims, believing the election was stolen. News channels would flash constant alerts, escalating tensions, clashes in the streets, a country at war with itself. Social media would become a battleground of misinformation and rage, further deepening the divides. The fabric of society, woven over centuries, would start to unravel thread by painful thread. How does this crisis end? There are several constitutional off-ramps. Congress could move to impeach and convict the former president for inciting an insurrection, a permanent black mark on his legacy. Alternatively, the new vice president and a majority of the cabinet could invoke the 25th Amendment, declaring him unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, though this would apply more to a sitting president than one whose term has already expired. Ultimately, the system is designed to hold. The peaceful transfer of power would be restored. The new president would take the oath of office, but the scars would remain. We would see a nation deeply wounded, its trust in democratic norms shattered. The institutions that held firm would be celebrated, but the very fact they were tested to such a breaking point would leave a lasting chill. The aftermath would be a long, difficult road to healing a country that stared into the abyss. It serves as a powerful reminder that democracy is not a given. It's a choice, a fragile agreement we must recommit to every single day. Thanks for watching. If you found this exploration thought-provoking, please like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the questions that shape our world.